Okay, so for anybody that managed to hear the first broadcast, brilliant. I'm not going through any of that again. Um, so the
Okay, so
the
for
the,
anybody that managed to hear the first
the,
broadcast,
the, the best teams. Hello,
Just making sure I'm coming through. Okay.
you're checking you're coming through.
the
Just so this is the first podcast we've ever done. Never wrapped this before.
best teams.
Yep, I'm coming through. Okay.
Brilliant.
Awesome, crack. Right,
So
what are we on?
yeah, I was just going through the Super Bowl teams, but if I'm not mentioning it again. If I have to go through
No.
it again, I'll
We,
literally
well, we
hack
know,
my own head
we
off
know,
with a saw.
we all pretty much agree.
There's four
that
teams that
there's-
go into Super Bowl. The two that want to, and
The two that want to are Nick and Niall.
and the
other four contenders, really, for me.
yeah.
We are
so-
also going to be sampling a 16-year-old
yes. I mean,
Lagavulin.
I'm really tempted to
whiskey.
do some of these on Zoom, or at least stream with our camera at some point.
We have
Because Daniel is
tasting-
whiskey tasting
we have
during this as well, so it could get
tasting
good.
notes. Give me 2 seconds, I'll read the tasting notes out.
Yeah, read that
Um,
out first.
Nose, more like, oh, please. It's a smoky nose, a very thick and rich palate, a massive mouthful of malt and sherry with good fruity sweetness, but also a wonderful sweetness, big, powerful peat and oak, and a long, spicy fig, date, peat smoke, and vanilla finish.
That sounds great.
That is wonderful. I'm going to get a glass, and we're going to try that while we break down. What are we breaking down tonight?
All sorts of things, including some stuff James Cameron asked me really last minute. Which
I may need a 16-year-old single malt just to discuss the Cardinals game, but
yeah,
Stooks had obviously had about half a bottle of this and he decided not to kick. But I will be right back with you.
Okay.
Give me 2 seconds to go and get a wee glass for this.
so the next thing we're talking about is the 9-3 teams. Before I go on to that, I'll just wrap the Super Bowl teams thing while Daniel's next door. That whiskey smells outrageously good. Like I was saying, I don't think there's anything the Cardinals can do now to change anything. They're literally buggered at 6-6. If they win out, they're not gonna get into the wild card. They might win the West, and if they do, as Adams already suggested, if the Cardinals can get to the playoffs, they might actually be the favourites in the NFC. Because nobody wants to play them because they're so random. It's painstaking, and if they lose out, they're not going to get that good a draft pick. So they're kind of stuck in perpetual limbo. As for the Dallas Cowboys, they are unfortunately definitely going to make the playoffs. So I mean, they got to do everything they can to not go 0-1 in January.
Gotta be in it to win it, but being in it guarantees nothing.
Yeah, I have. The Bucks might genuinely go further, and that's not a dig. It's just that at the minute James Earls is the 6th seed, so he goes to Soldier Field, whereas the Bucks would get
Lagavulin brought to you by the Los Angeles Drams.
the Drams. The Bucks would get themselves a CPU playoff game, which again, as we've discussed in the group, is much more winnable. Daniel, I will assume you have not been following things in the meet shop.
I have not. I can't get this bloody whiskey.
Fantastic. There have been 4 teams that have been knocked out of the postseason by CPU teams. How many can you name?
Niall twice.
Now, no, not only once.
Only once the Texans.
Nope, he's never been knocked out. I knocked him out twice. The Texans,
Ooh,
twice he didn't make it.
Have a smell of
I can smell it from here.
That's brilliant. That.
It does smell really nice.
That's like a tree. That is like drinking a tree.
Niles Bears were knocked out by the Bucks.
Niles Bucks. James Earls.
Nope, has never been knocked out of the postseason by a CPU team.
Oh, it's easy. It's the Cardinals twice.
Mike and Stoops, yeah,
And
both
John's
knocked out
Falcons.
by.
Green Bay Packers at Lambeau.
Yeah, and the Falcons were knocked out by the CPU
Let's
teams.
give this a wee try. Ooh,
It's like drinking a tree.
it is. It's like a Saturday night for John. A nice 16-year-old.
So the
Not accusing him of anything. 16's legal. Just before he starts throwing shit at people.
or breaking his controller again. The trigger doesn't work.
Or breaking the table. As I went round to his house once up at uni. Went and played Madden. I think it was Madden 02 with James Earls. On PlayStation 2.
The Emmett screen.
And it was like being at the house of the fucking Dudley boys. The amount of broken tables that John had put something through.
You'd almost think the Bills had made the playoffs.
He was not a happy man.
So we're talking about the 9-3 teams. So I want you to. There are 3 teams that are 9-3. That's the Bears, the Cowboys, and the Raiders.
Well,
Maybe
the Bears have had a tough run.
Oh, I'm bringing it up.
The Bears were 9-1, and then had to play Adam and Zach back to back.
Now the rating one.
Oh, they've played since. Sorry.
The Bears haven't lost a CPU game all year. The Cowboys haven't lost a CPU game all year. But as I literally, if I say this,
There's a good lovely St. Peter's.
if I say this, it makes it sound like I'm having a go at people. But it wasn't me that said it. Check the group chat. John is the one saying that PvP games don't mean a
Oh,
damn.
well, this will definitely make sense then. Go for it.
Yeah. Well, John's just said that PvP games don't make a damn. If you scroll up, it's there in writing. I didn't put it there. I was defending PvP teams, literally just to suit my own agenda. So, the Bears haven't won a PvP game this year. Neither is Dallas. Neither is Oakland. So they're.
How does Dallas not won a PvP game?
Oh.
Beat Nile.
You know, you got like a top level PvP game, mate.
Well, that's like saying they haven't beat John or Adam. The Cowboys haven't played John or Adam.
True.
Oh, they've played Adam, actually.
I mean, yeah, they've played Adam.
Ran down to the 5. Good
So
one.
they all have 4 games to go. James technically has 3 because he wins against Minnesota. They go to 10-3, but they're all pretty comparable as teams. In terms of prepping for the postseason, I've broken them down into 3 categories. The Bears I have listed as no chance of impressing me between now and the end of the season.
It's an all CB schedule, isn't it?
They're the only one that has an all CPU schedule.
Yeah, that's not impressing anybody. No offense to them. They're
No,
a good
but
team,
he could literally win all 4 of those games and still get slept in the divisional round. Easy enough.
What we need to know is have the Bears learned from the Giants or Saints loss? You can't know that in the next 4 games.
No, that's
So,
what I'm
yeah,
saying. That's the flip side of it. That there's no way after the next 4 games will I dismiss that as a chance of doing something in the playoffs. James Earls is next to no chance. His is all CPU games bar 1, but that game is at Houston. He's going to lose that game. It's going to be bad.
He's probably going to lose that game. I don't
Yeah.
see a way that to win it. No offense.
But if he comes out of it looking like Niall did against the Giants, then we can be like, oh, James Earls might win a PvP game in January for the first time.
Yeah.
It's hard to judge though, because my actual prediction for the game is like Houston 17, Dallas 10, because John will play a reduced playbook. And it'll be more than enough to keep a stumbling offense at bay, but we'll get onto that later. Oakland has every chance of impressing me and the rest of the league between now and the end of the season. Their 4 remaining games are 2 PvP and 2 CPU.
Mhm.
So they got to play James Cameron, then they got to play the Niners, then they got to play Stoops, then they got to play the Chargers. I mean, like I said, there's a chance that Niall and James Earls both go 13-3, and if they do, well, if James does, it's kind of big because he's beat John. But realistically, if either of them go 13-3 or 12-4, it's
we promotion on the podcast, by the way.
oh,
Whoever I think is the most fun on mine will get a bottle of 16-year-old Lagavulin. So
may as well just say we're saying that to Zach already.
show up on
Although
the fucking podcast.
I know what Adam's topics are, so yeah, it's considerable.
So whoever's best in the podcast gets a 16-year-old bottle of Lagavulin, single malt.
You gotta stick to that now.
There's Nick's wanting to come on weekly.
More entries into the raffle,
Yeah,
more
buy
chances.
as many. Speaking of buying raffle tickets, buy our raffle tickets. Next
Addressing
week.
re-swerve there.
Jimmy, have you got the raffle ticket link there? Yes, it's in the group.
What have we
Get
got on raffle tickets?
Get on Belfast City Lions and buy raffle tickets.
Baby Tylenol. Right.
What about 2 raffle tickets on Baby Tylenol? Who'd win?
So, but if Nick rolls in 13-3, which he really could do, he's got to beat James Cameron. I don't think he does.
He can, but I don't think he does.
My prediction in the Blazing 5 will be that he does. I have Raiders by a point. It's that close.
I don't know.
We'll get to it. He's got to play the Niners, who he'll beat. He's got to play Stoops, and that's the big one for me.
That's
Stoops
not
is-
just the big one for Nick.
no. It's probably Stoops will be eliminated by then. He keeps kicking instead of going for fourth.
Oh, don't have him finished this yet. We meant to be tasting these. I'll be necking them.
If Nick beats Stoops, it's huge. Huge.
It could realistically give Nick the AFC West if he beats James Cameron.
No.
I don't know. How many wins is Nick behind?
2.
All it takes is James Cameron to try and do what he did against Cleveland and fuck it up.
We're down the stretch now. He won't do that.
He's always so good in pressure situations, throwing fucking slants to John's linebackers.
Right, so I made a list, and this is just to clarify this. I'm gonna get Daniel to help out with this. I have made a list. It is my list. It
He's
is
checked it twice. He's going to find out
who's not
who's
singing
throwing
nice.
corners and who's nice.
So the out of the list, it's my list. I'll get Daniel to go one way or another on it. I have made a list of your elite offensive players on your roster. This is all 8 teams. The guys who are quite good. They're not elite, but they're they're handy and you can go to them in situations. And the sort of negatives, the deficiencies in your offense. I also have one. Everybody has one major, apart from one person in each. Everybody has a major offensive and defensive weakness. So, Saints style, my elite players for the Saints offense is Jordan Love, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas. They have 3, which is tied for the most.
Yeah, it's very hard to
You
argue.
wouldn't take any of them off it or put
No,
anybody
it's
on?
hard to argue any of them, and it's hard to say that the number 2 receiver to Thomas in any given year is actually elite, and Adam doesn't really utilise the tight end enough.
We'll get to
I
that.
take it we're not including O-lineman?
No.
No, then I'd say, yeah, that's... Having a triplets is pretty impressive.
The Bears have no elite offensive talent.
I don't know about that.
They don't.
I think...
There's not one elite player in that team. I could Niall's on right now. I can bring him on, and he should and probably would agree with me. There's no elite talent when you go through who the elite talents are. Who would you nominate?
David Montgomery and Riley Ridley together as one player.
Yeah, now you're getting it. Denver, I've put Breida / ETN. Really, I think Travis Etienne's elite. I don't think Breida is. ETN's elite and Noah Fant's elite.
Breida feels like a member of a running back rotation.
I bet ETN.
ATN feels like a starter.
ETN and Noah Fant are his 2 elite talented players.
Yeah, I suppose.
Noah Fant is 2nd in the league in receiving yards.
Would you say Travis Kelce's an elite tight end? He finished 2nd receiving yards?
This is CFM.
No, fair enough.
Travis Kelce would be an elite tight end
Who
in
gives a
CFM.
fuck about blocking? Get it out quick.
Yeah, exactly. No one's looking at their blocking stats because it's not the NFL. Arizona has 1 elite. Yep, they do have an elite level weapon, Christian Kirk.
The opposing team's middle linebacker.
Christian Kirk.
73 grabs this year. Ah, no.
He's literally better. But if you're going to argue the Chicago thing, Kirk would literally improve the Bears. He's better at every position. He's better than any Bears receiver by a mile. Christian Kirk does not deserve to be 6-6. He'll be requesting a trade in the offseason, definitely.
Him and Kyler.
Dallas has Laviska Shenault. He's a serious volume target
I
receiver
like
now.
Cooper.
No, I couldn't bring myself
Chris
to do it.
Herndon.
Just because you acquired him. Chris Herndon is wank.
Alright, fair enough.
I could give Chris Herndon a Nile and he'll get 250 targets. It doesn't make him any good.
I don't know if Fant's elite. There's that old AFC bass.
The Giants have 2 elite weapons. Justin Herbert and Saquon Barkley. I'm still telling you, the Giants do not have an elite level
I don't
receiving
know if
weapon.
Justin Herbert's elite. And Zach and me actually had a little bit of a discussion about this earlier in the podcast.
Good, because neither do I.
Justin Herbert, the quarterback position has developed this year at the Giants, but as Zach said, a lot of that's just down to Zach making progress.
If your quarterback is named,
If Justin Herbert got hurt right now and Teddy Bridgewater stepped in, I said to Zach, I think he still wins the East, and Zach agreed. But yeah, I think all you can go off is his stats. Is Justin Herbert a system quarterback? Yeah, but has he been elite this year? Yes.
My point is, if I put your quarterback in as an elite weapon, it's also a tip of the hat to the coach. Jordan Love does not have an elite level arm, and is not incredibly
Or elite
accurate.
level legs.
No.
But he'll end up with 30, 40 touchdowns.
But he's got
total.
Adam.
Yeah.
And in a way, Herbert has Zach as well. It's the same thing.
I feel that Zach could have done it with a much worse quarterback. But
Just a quick
but
shout out.
this is the thing with the NFL. Could Bill Belichick have done what he's done with a different quarterback? Maybe. Did he? No. So it's on the quarterback. Could Zach have done what he's doing right now with Teddy Bridgewater in year 2? Potentially.
Potentially.
Did he do it with Justin
Probably
Herbert?
not.
Yes. So you give the Herbert has to take the credit.
Oh.
Again, Andy Dalton didn't make any tight window fucking throws, but he took
Yeah.
2 MVPs.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
He doesn't have an elite level receiver, and we were down on his receiver tandem at the start of the year, like Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton on the perimeter.
They
They
do
weren't
both
crap.
feel like Robbie Anderson and Quincy and Inwa.
Yeah, but now
Oh, 81 and 78.
I think all three receivers, Slayton, Shepherd, and Gill, are all in that sort of next tier. We'll get to that. Oakland, I have three.
It's what I think's holding Zach back slightly.
What's that?
The receivers.
In what way?
I feel he has a Tyler Boyd and a John Ross. I don't feel he has an AJ Green.
Darius Slayton's getting there. He came up big in the
He's
the
getting
game.
there, but I think he's a bit to go.
I have three elite level talent players in Oakland. Josh Jacobs, Allen Robinson, Darren Waller.
You can't put him in just because you acquired him. Anyway, here's all the players I signed in Oakland.
Well, who'd you acquire?
Allen Robinson.
Yeah, no, but who's the other one you're referring to? I get what you're saying about Allen Robinson, but who's the other one?
Oh, who did I just say? Literally, was it the Bears? You said that you're only saying that because you acquired him.
No, Robinson's in because he's an elite level perimeter threat.
Oh, it's Chris Herndon.
Oh, Chris Herndon, yeah.
Oh, you can't put him in because you acquired him. Anyway, Akthelo Witherspoon, #1 corner in the NFL.
He does have a Peter Zell trophy.
He does. John doesn't.
In
Sorry,
2 attempts.
Did I think that out loud?
Oh no, he does have JJ Watt.
Aye. Yeah, well, that was more to spite.
And yeah,
Who boo give him that? The McNairs.
Houston has 3 top level targets as well: Watson, Hopkins, and Fuller. Like
Yeah.
they're ridiculous.
I couldn't name his running back.
He's on this. So
Watson.
I then have like a second tier sort of guy that it's really useful. Your team would be worse without this guy. The Saints is Jaden Hasselwood.
Mhm.
Feel like he's come on really well this year. Could be offensive rookie of the year.
He has been quite impressive.
For the Bears, I have Trey Burton. They'd be worse without him.
Much worse. Much worse.
I don't have anybody for Denver.
I think you should be getting into that tier.
What tier?
The good tier with Burton.
Who?
Riley Ridley.
No.
Or Dave Montgomery.
He's R1. He just catches that slot cross.
I've been quite impressed with Dave Montgomery.
Montgomery could be on there, but he was sort of getting ready to
No.
burst and then got injured.
Yeah.
If he'd have played the rest of the season, I could have put him on there.
Is he done for the year, is he?
Yeah, not the year.
Most of it, though.
Most
Enough of it to dampen his...
It's all CPU schedule. It wouldn't matter.
Not all true.
Arizona, I have Kenyon Drake and Mark Andrews.
They definitely stop him going 6
4
and
and
10.
12.
Yeah.
For Dallas, I put Amari Cooper because Amari Cooper is now just for CPU games. First down dive doesn't work. Second down ISO doesn't work. Third down big massive dig right.
Did you just say you wanted to run a deep end?
For the Giants, I just put Jalen Gill, but there's an asterisk. I could add Slayton or Shepherd in there as well. For Oakland, I put Philip Dorsett.
Yeah.
He's not as good as Hasselwood or Trey Burton.
He's been more
but
important than you think.
Yeah, especially down the stretch. And for Houston, I put 2 people in. I put in John Emery, the running back, and Zay Jones, who's the often forgotten man of that Texans pass attack. But the Houston's just fucking loaded. And then I have massive deficiencies on the offense. So the Saints, I think the Saints have no deficiencies in offense really. I have a weakness for each team later, but like in terms of personnel, they don't have a deficiency in offense.
No.
For the Bears, I've put any of their wide receivers. Now all 3 of them in their own right can play the slot, but there's no perimeter threat on the roster still,
Yeah.
and that's not even the biggest CFM crime. James Cameron, yours is also, you don't have any perimeter weapons, but you have Cortland Sutton and DK Metcalf. Like you literally have perimeter weapons.
You don't use any of your perimeter weapons as perimeter
I imagine
weapons.
Niall goes to sleep at night, hoping that you come by some sort of horrible accident. I think Niall would not only be the favourite to reach the Super Bowl, but he would have a puncher's chance in it if he had Cortland Sutton
Surely
and
there's a
DK
deal
Metcalf.
to be made there in the off season.
Niall, if you're listening to this, or if anybody's listening to this, tell Niall,
Bears Broncos.
pick up the phone
do
and
a
be
deal.
like, you have Sutton and Metcalf and won't throw the ball to either of them. They are 1,000 yard, I swear to God, they are 1,000 yard receivers with that Bears team. You put Riley Ridley inside, you can cut Rigor because he's shite and Higgins and play one of those 2 Denver guys. Probably Sutton. I think James Cameron likes Metcalf a little bit better.
He acquired him
He
as
did
well, which is going to make him more reluctant to...
But that's the terrible thing. He acquired him and hasn't really used him in any way whatsoever. So the Bears have a massive deficiency at wide receiver. Denver has receiver talent but doesn't use it.
Probably
Guys,
too
there
much.
there is a simple trade to be made there.
Yeah.
Yes, especially because Niles tried it for a while now with Rigor and Higgins. Stop trying to draft guys that can play on the perimeter, because you're like Belichick with us. You keep missing on them. Both of those guys for Denver can play the perimeter. Go and get one of them. Arizona's deficiency is Kyler Murray. Like,
He's great, but he doesn't suit their style at all.
I feel like Stoops could do what he's doing with any skilled quarterback.
Yeah.
Again, I don't want to get talking too much about trades because we'll get to that towards the end of the season, but would it be stupid? Would it be crazy for Stoops to shift Murray and play somebody else? Has he not got Case Keenum as the backup?
Forget Case Keenum. Would it not be stupid for Stoops to speak to James Cameron about Drew Lock?
Is Drew Lock still a Bronco?
I believe he is.
Well, he should probably be a Cardinal because he worked for a lot less money as well.
James Cameron could shift DK or Cortland Sutton and Drew Lock, get himself some extra picks, and fix big problems for teams at a different
There is
conference.
some wheeling dealing to be done here. Dallas, I have Zeke and Dak as deficiencies. Dak was literally quarterback of the week last week.
And it was pish.
But that was the only week in like the last 15 he's been bearable. He's inaccurate at times, a little bit like Trubisky, a little bit like Derek Carr,
Expensive.
but James doesn't pass the ball regularly or well enough to get the use of when he is accurate, so he just comes across as terrible. And Zeke was literally, 6 carries for 4 yards at halftime in one of his last 2 games. They just both melded into 8 quarters of absolute hell for me. I struggled to distinguish which game was which. But he's got Elliott, who must be the top paid back in the league, or at least in the top
He's
3.
probably up there. Yeah.
And he does not produce. You could do worse than get rid of him. I've seen you with Tony Pollard this year, James. It's not much better, but it's certainly not much worse. Mike Gesicki, who we were both really high on at the start of the start of this year, just seems to have fallen away in the offense.
The offense is transitioning.
Yes, but I feel like Gesicki's got left behind, and so have all of the tight ends. Evan Ingram's still there as
But
well.
all that means is that you can do it with a cheaper tight end room.
True. I mean, I think Gesicki's in a pretty sweet deal anyway, if memory serves. But I feel like Gesicki's only there for you to motion him or for you to replace him in the depth chart with Jalen Gill. Is Stoops advocating for himself to be sacked in the chat? I am not getting rid of Kyler. He's good. I'm the one who is bad.
It certainly looks like Stoops is advocating to be fired from the Cardinals.
Yeah, nobody let Steve Keim read this. Just to finish this segment.
Who still has to play, by the way?
You do know we've simmed on. Half the league still has to play now. Nick was the last
Yeah,
game.
no, I know we have Nick James Cameron on Saturday. I'm saying
Yeah.
who needs to play this week.
This, but I don't want to talk about this
A few
because this
people
is
have
the
already
week.
played, have they not?
This is the week we're on here. They have played.
Who needs to play? Right, bitches, some of these have CPU games, get on, get them played.
Oakland and Houston have no. Oakland has very few, if not none, and Houston definitely has no deficiencies
Oakland
in the
has a
roster.
deficiency at quarterback, but
I don't think so.
We'll never let it be shown by running blasts and powers.
They pass way more than you think.
No, I know, but it's high percentage passes.
Yes.
They it's a compliment that they have a deficiency, but they're.
Right, I'm gonna break this up a bit. I'm gonna do a 3-word game now, and then we'll come back to the weaknesses section on O&D. So 3-word game. Saints beat the Bears 24-14. 3-word game. Lights, Kamara, action. I haven't seen Kamara play really well. Adam has lost 2 of his last 3 NFC title games. I haven't seen Kamara come up big in a player game in a long time. And there it was. He was the focal point all the way through. Bears lost 14-24 to the Saints. 3-word game. Nobody turned up. That's just a quote.
Somebody's
from
commented in the stream. Is that one of the boys in the group chat? Or?
no idea. It's probably someone trying to sell me car insurance.
Is that one of you want famous? Nude man now?
Nobody turned up is just a quote from Niall at the end of the game. He was like, nobody turned up in O, nobody turned up in D. Just basically summed it up.
It was not. Niall did sound very, very negative after the game. Probably fairly so. The Bears were 10-point losers.
They've gone from being in the hat for the 1 seed to being resigned to the 3 seed again.
I don't think anybody
2 weeks.
sees. I don't think anybody sees it as a 10-point game.
No. Denver beat the Chargers 30-7. 3-word game closer than this. Anybody that watched it knows that James Cameron was basically holding on for dear life until the 4th when he's dropped about 24 points. You just worry. His last couple of games he's won 50-7 and 30-7. Nick is going to be like a slap in the face. And if you don't believe me, he was 17-3 down to Stoops. Like, James Cameron needs to get up and go from the first quarter, or
Yeah.
Nick's going to run away with it.
He does funny about a lot. It's quite telling of James's character in general.
Alright.
Can I just ask? There's now 4 comments in the stream. Is John arguing with some weirdo?
It would be
Those
amazing.
won't appear in your stream, will they?
No. They will if they keep going. If mine isn't shouldn't have kicked. No, Stoops, it's worse than that.
So,
Um,
can I join the franchise?
we have a limit on nonsense, and JC and Niall have filled those spots. Brilliant, John. Love
John
you.
has managed to roast some randomer and two
And two other people in the
boys.
league at the same time. John's a master. Stoops, I'm going to save yours for last because Daniel and I want to talk about it at length.
By the way, Blitz Gaming on Twitch is not eligible for the whiskey. Just to clarify. I don't know if hundreds of people have heard on Facebook they're now swarming to try and win a bottle of Lagavulin, but that is not happening.
It's definitely a burner account Nick has to try and win it.
Mainly because I'm going to pretend that I'm the most interesting person in the podcast because I've been on a break and buy myself a bottle.
James Earls beat San Francisco. Well, kind of beat San Francisco 15-10.
San Francisco certainly lost to James.
My 3-word game was basically Boke. Like, watching it just made me want to be sick of myself. The Giants beat the Seahawks 28-0. That's 2 games in a row now. The Seahawks have played Zach and not scored a single point. 3-word game. Guess who's back? I love Zach's offense, like in maybe a sexual way. It's just really good. There's just so much to it. I could do a podcast literally on Zach's O and get a good 45 minutes out of it. Raiders beat Colts 28-16. 3-word game. A Raiders response. That's me fucking told anyway. Oh, Nick's offense is really good. When Josh Jacobs scored about 15 rushing touchdowns. Okay, I am consider myself back in my box. Houston beat Tennessee 35-23. 3-word game. 2-minute warning. If you want to just see unadulterated chaos, go and watch that from the 2-minute warning onwards. The first 3 quarters was really just shite. Nothing happened at all.
Blitz Gaming on Twitch has said that if he joins the league, he will join as the Packers and will play all 16 games. So I think there's definitely an argument
There's
to be-
definitely credence to be putting
There's
them
an
in
argument to be made
because
for letting them in
some
there.
people haven't joined as the Packers and played
we
16 full
wouldn't
games.
want somebody coming in and just bitching out again, or team hopping, or any of those other, or YouTube plays with too many YouTubers in the league.
Absolutely mad. People are gagging it in the league when you and I killed it, supposedly.
Yeah, I know.
Mad. Stips, your 3-word game is mind-boggling mess. There's just so much. It's like a car hit a child and
We're
the
actually
child
gonna
blew up.
We're going to do the rest of the podcast and then we're going to set another podcast just for what the fuck happened within the 2 minutes.
There was no godly reason not to kick.
It wouldn't have even tied the game. It would have put you in a lead
Yeah, and while you could
against
say...
an offense that had scored 15 points in 4 quarters.
What gets me the most about it is if he kicks a field goal, his logical-ish argument is they are running through his defense and could go the length of the field and kick and win the game 18-17.
Yeah, but they weren't running through anybody's defense. They had 15 points.
Also,
They had averaged less than 4 points a quarter.
going for it 4th and 3 with
If
an
a team is
offense,
scoring 3.7 points a quarter and you
they're not running through you.
kick into the league after the 2 minute warning, it's not that fucking difficult.
When you're 4th and 3 and your offense has been...
Anemic, shite,
I don't want to
pish,
say. I don't want to say.
wank.
I don't want to say trash, but
Leave
John
the
scored.
ball at the 10.
John scored more points against Tennessee than Stoops has managed in the last fortnight.
I reckon I could have kicked that field goal. Not in Madden. I reckon I could have kicked that field goal.
It's not like you missed it, yeah. But you got some serious decision making issues there on that last one. I think it was mad. I think the whole league reacted pretty much the same way. My phone blew up just
It
after.
was just a general. Fuck.
Yeah, there was a real sort of, I can't believe he's done that in a game he absolutely had to have. And I don't know why you wouldn't have kicked. I mean,
Well, you would have.
well, yes, I would have, yeah.
So there's not like why would you not have kicked? Is not a question because you would have kicked.
James Earls literally won a game against the Eagles last year, 15-14 in similar circumstances. It's quite funny though because the Panthers were eliminated just afterwards when James played San Francisco. So there's not even any good things to come out of this. It's not like we can go, oh, at least the Stips, you're right. It does give us something to talk about, but not even something positive for the Panthers because they're out. No sooner than they manage to get a win, and if it doesn't get any better for them, they play Adam this week, and if Adam wins, he'll be the first guy to 100 regular season wins in the CFM. So the Panthers are fucked.
I was going to say, that guy Blitz Gaming seems quite keen enjoying, although after watching this week, maybe he watched this week's games and he wants into the West. He's convinced fucking I could go and win that with the Rams.
I gotta admit, see, after watching James Earl's games, there was a part of me that looked at it and went, God, I want back in. I would walk this again. So team of the week is out, and it is QB Deshaun Watson, running back 1 Alvin Kamara, running back 2 Josh Jacobs, wide receiver 1 Darius came to Slayton, wide receiver 2 AJ Brown, tight end Chris Herndon, but he was crap. It took me forever to put team of the week together. He was literal crap, but he was the only tight end worth a damn. Nelson Aguilar in the flex, Joey Bosa at D-line, Fred Fingers Warner at linebacker, and Jaquiski Tart as the DB. So
Fred Warner is
Fred
probably one of the top 2-3 defense players in the league.
Right. He is that good. So everybody has a weakness at offense bar 1, and everybody has a weakness in defense bar 1. So let's get into that quickly.
How much do we have left?
Not too much actually. But we done by 1, I would say.
I don't want to eat peanuts on mic.
Fair. We can get peanuts in a minute. So
Didn't-
Adam's weakness in offense is a lack of wide receiver 3 or tight end, which underpins a lack of variety. I feel like, Daniel, you'd be really good to talk about this because you've seen Adam in the league like years ago when there's the first 4 teams in the league. What always made Adam dangerous? Remember he used to spam that R1 vertical, right? And it doesn't
No.
matter whether it was like Randy Moss or Danny Amendola, he would come down with it. I feel like Cody Latimer is now just a husk of what he used to be. And when Michael Thomas went down, it was really showing because Jaden Hasselwood turned into an absolute beast at X. And there was nobody else. There is no other wide receiver in that team that strikes any fear into me. I'm at the point now where I forgot. I don't think Traquan Smith's still there. I don't think he franchise tagged him. But if he was still there, it would surprise me. And it's also the year that Adams got the least production out of the tight end spot. And he's never really used a tight end, but
if he did, can you imagine? Jesus, can you imagine if Adams' offense gets any more diverse?
yeah, it does need to get better. But that's he's Alvin Kamara is the 3rd target in that offense. Sometimes the
if
second.
he added a full proper tight end one,
Lay had a bit of a breakout.
He could probably tell you what the play call was, and you still wouldn't be able to stop him.
To be fair, Lay had a bit of a breakout game against Niall, but one breakout game in like 13 weeks isn't enough for me to be like, okay, tight end's fixed.
Yeah.
Okay, Bears. I've touched on this earlier. There's 0 perimeter threat. It's like playing a CPU offense. I don't need to cover the X or the Z because they're not going to run any big boy outside routes on me. I'm not getting a post.
If I was playing the Bears, I'd probably put my best corner in the slot.
Yeah, because it's Riley Ridley
Or
or
it's
it's Trey
safety,
Burton.
so we can cover in the slot.
I also have put down here an inefficient ground game that goes into that. Your yardage has gone up recently, but not in a positive way. I still feel like whenever you get to if you're first and goal to 10, there's no part of you that wants to run the ball on any of those downs at all. I mean, we did this case study a couple of years ago. Your fullback got more touches than your running back over the course of a 16-game season in the red zone. You're just so pass first, and I'm trying to work out why you can't win PvP games, and that's a big part of it. Because when Zach gets down there and he's 1st and 5, he runs it, and you don't get picked off running it. But
Very rarely,
if you're passing 1st down, 2nd down, 3rd down, 4th down, if you need to have it, just sit cover 3, loads of backers, small space to defend. Passing lanes are few and far between down the red zone. That's not to say your red zone offense doesn't work. Literally go and watch the game against the Saints. Last play of the game, or last touchdown of the game, was Riley Ridley. Now worked a couple of those zig routes and stuff that he likes down at the goal line. I'm not saying his goal line offense is really good, but even when he's like first, it was 5 yards, 6 yards to go, there's no part of me that thinks he's going to run the ball, and that makes it easier to play against him. Denver, your offense lacks diversity in pass concepts. This is an actual
In
stat.
the fact that you have two.
I looked this up. Against the Chargers in his last game, they ran 4 different pass plays in the first half. They also had more time of possession than the Chargers. 4 pass plays. Would you can tell what those plays are?
Not really, no.
They're all from. There's one spider mesh he likes, and the other 3 are all from 5 wide sets. James Cameron's offense is the only one that plays with 2 backs all the time, and the only time it's not with 2 backs is 5 wide. I'm gonna run the ISO,
Right.
and I'm gonna throw verticals and hit Fant underneath it. So that's an issue. That's gonna bite you when you get to title weekend. It can't pass the ball. Arizona, your offense too predictable. Is the biggest criticism. I've also got 2 main weapons, so I feel like if it's a running down, it's a zone to Drake, and if it's a passing down, it's a 3-step slant to Kirk. Whether he's open or there's a linebacker there or he's treble teamed, it's a run to Drake or a pass to Kirk, all too often. Also, an inability to select plays. There is too much of a. Go to coach suggestions. What does it say? Halfback draw or stick and nod or halfback draw. You're probably picking the halfback draw.
Yeah, it's just a lack of diversity.
One thing I will say about
And
Stoops
that
is
shit kills teams.
the biggest knock on Stoops last year was that just the fucking sheer randomness of it. And after the 2-minute warning, it was like the bell sounded. Let's play multi-ball.
Up by 14. Will this be a win? Someone knows.
And the rules changed. But this year, after the 2-minute warning, he's a lot more consistent. I mean, largely that is because he's been beat already, but there's less panic. Certainly less panic. And Mark Andrews is one of the best acquisitions that I've ever seen a player team make. Just need to get him more involved creatively. Dallas, your weaknesses, your formation balance is utter wank. You're constantly in 2 back sets and 2 tight end sets, and sometimes you're in 22 personnel with 2 backs and 2 tight ends. Cole Beasley was acquired, hardly sees the field. There's plenty of times where, I mean, in the last game alone, you threw a bunch of picks because Cooper was on at receiver and everybody else is. There's literally a play I put in this morning. I hope you've seen the video. Otherwise, you're gonna have to go back and look for it. He's got twins to the left, Cooper and Chenault. 2 tight ends, an ace on the right, and Zeke. He audibles to max protect, so only the receivers have routes.
Yeah.
Cooper is a go, which he's never going to throw, and Chenault's a quick out. So he snaps it and throws it to the quick out,
Oh, it's like Ohio spacing without the tight end, right?
or the running back routes,
Fuck.
or any intention of throwing to Cooper.
So it's a quick additional.
Yes, and it got batted away and could have been pick sixed.
Well, yeah, if they're in cover 2, you're just asking for them to not allow any yards.
Yes, but then they do that, and then just so much of it is mind melting. Also, in that very same game, talk about Niles' really good red zone offense, the Cowboys got down to the 2-yard line and threw a sluggo to Amari Cooper, which went out the back incomplete because a sluggo is not a route for the 2-yard line. I don't even know who the fullback is at Dallas, but I've seen the fullback.
Hill.
What Hill?
His name is Hill.
But Hank Hill. I have seen more of this fullback than
Bobby.
I have of Cole Beasley, and it's mental to me. Mental. Just for a team that can't run the ball worth a damn, everything seems to be
Oh,
9-man box, 3 tight ends
I can't
running
stop
behind
thinking
them.
about Bobby Hill and Hank Hill.
Bobby. Zach,
It took my legs, Hank.
you're the guy who has basically none for offensive weaknesses. I touched on earlier your lack of the use of the tight ends, maybe a bit of formation balance whenever you go to 3 receiver stuff, but it's basically flawless. And I'm not the guy that makes up shit to have a go at. Like, if you're good, I'll say you're good. You're basically flawless. Oakland's is the consistency. Have you seen the Raiders this year? There's a chance that Robinson and Dorsett both turn up and you're winning by 18, or they're both absolutely dick.
And you're winning, you're beating them before time.
I said that for the Dallas offense, tight end 3 sees more of the field than Cole Beasley does. For Oakland, offensive lineman 6 is starting to see the field a little bit more than wide receiver 3. I credited Nick for this about 5 weeks into the season, where he plays a lot of the six offensive linemen as a tight end. It allows him to do some more run stuff, sets up some play action, but reduces the routes. I think this is gonna come. This will sound mental coming from me. I think Nick needs to see a wee bit more Hunter Renfro, or certainly a third receiver.
Or what, like letting him call plays?
No, but
He's pish.
putting him in the slot. It's always been a belief of mine, and it shows up in the postseason. You can't deny it. If you can't play with three receiver, 11 personnel sets, you can't win PvP games.
That's because
The only outlier I can think of is Zach last year in the
everybody
regular
lets
season.
the DBs. Well, it's different depending. Adam will let the corners shut down the receivers, and he'll shut down your tight end. So you need your third receiver.
There are only two
Or
teams.
if you're playing John,
Yeah.
the corners shut down your outside receivers, and he shuts down your tight end and your slot receiver. So you've really got to have good receivers then.
But there's only two teams in this league that can play man coverage and trust the outside guys, and that's the Saints and the Broncos. The Broncos have Carlton Davis and Trayvon Diggs, and they're unbelievably overmatched at times on the outside.
Yeah.
And Marshawn Lattimore's just don't even fucking bother. John, I wanted to say you were flawless in offense, but I couldn't bring myself to say it. My only criticism of your entire offense, which has been outstanding this year, and no one can deny it, stupid turnovers, holding onto the ball too long, looking for a big play, running about as making Watson look like an arsehole, and just taking the stupidest sacks. The game technically hasn't happened by the time the podcast comes out, but I'm going to go into it anyway. Houston played the Bills and beat the Bills 20-10. However, the Bills led that game 10-7 for 3.5 quarters because he fumbled at his own 8 trying to roll out left.
Who, John? Oh no, I wouldn't believe that of him now.
Brilliant. Yes, Adam had a dig at him for it being the classics as well, so I'll not talk anymore about
I
that
too
game.
used to like the classics.
The classics.
Rolling out loud.
So defense, I got a lot of defensive criticisms because I think defense in the league,
He's
basically
quite poor.
league-wide, is pish. Yeah,
You're
he's a
all wank.
Yeah, they're pretty shite. So Saints first of all, Adam, you're over reliant on Cam Jordan for a pass rush.
Not too dissimilar to the Saints,
I was
to
gonna
be
say,
fair.
yeah, not too reliant. Too reliant is like if it's not for Cam Jordan, you're getting 0 sacks. You get pressure from other people, but if Cam Jordan doesn't have a good day, I don't think you're gonna get a sack. Anzalone is better than either of your safeties at playing the ball. Yes, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson got a pick against Nile, but I mean Marcus Williams is in the running to be like 2-time fucking come down player of the year.
Yeah.
He's come down from his come down year.
Congratulations, Marcus. I thought you were shit last year, but this year you've really blown the whole panel out of the water with just how wank you are.
I also think that Adam, and I think this is a fair assumption, he can find it difficult to stop the run.
Again, that comes down to...
I watched James Earls run it really well on him. I watched Stoops beat him with the run, and I watched Zach beat him with the run. The only reason we
It
didn't
comes
see...
down to the fact that Adam knows fine well you will not beat him in the NFC title game by running the ball. So he's going to pick Anzalone and he's going to play the pass. And if you want to try and run, try and fucking run. Oh, look, you get 7 yards. And then when you tried to throw a pass, he picked it off. Anzalone is the most non-NFL player ever. Like non-actual, because
Aye.
he's the only middle linebacker in the history of football whose first read step is back. Which again, I'm not criticising Adam. It works for Adam. It wins Adam balls. It gets Adam the balls, and it will continue to.
Right, John's said it in the chat now, so it's definitely been spoken into existence. Can we all vote for Marcus Williams to win Come Down Player of the Year again?
Well, he won't win it next year, luckily, because Adam will cut him.
Yeah, definitely. And he's not got a 3-peat. Imagine John picks him up and plays Purdism intentionally for the 3-peat.
Amazing. Like the anti-Bosch Wade LeBron.
I kind of think the reason we didn't see Niall beat Adam this week is because Niall didn't run it.
I don't
I
think it's
truly
fair to put it
believe-
down to one reason.
No,
think
but
Adam was quite good.
I truly think Niall would have had a shot in that game if he'd have
I
run the
don't think
ball
Adam
consistently
I
well.
don't think Adam loses the game though if Niall's run the ball. Adam played really, really well.
But Niall didn't, what do you call it? Niall didn't run the ball poorly against Adam, he just decided to throw pick sixes instead. Or picks, rather. He had 2 big 30-yard runs to start the game, and I'm like, here's Adam not being able to play the run again. And then I was like, nah, come away from that. So, Bears' defensive inadequacies. Inability to tackle anybody in open spaces. Uh,
Or closed spaces at times.
N'Kobe Dean,
The linebacker play has been awful.
N'Kobe Dean's linebacker play for the last
Too
two or
many
3 weeks has
times
been
do I
awful.
see
He should still probably win
it's not
Defensive
all
Rookie of
on
the Year.
Nile. It's really not. The amount of times I'll see one of
The
Niles
Dean stuff is.
I'll see one of Niles linebackers shoot a gap and just fucking whiff on a guy.
Also, inability to use a cornerback for 3+ downs. Booth is still, I know he's young and developing, but he still give up the exact same touchdown every single week. Every week. The one against Zach was a backbreaker, cost him the game.
Yeah.
And I think this is a criticism of Niall that I also have of James Earls, so you're getting it later as well. Too much experience of facing CPU offenses. Niall came on the pod the other day and bragged about having a top, I'm not going to say whether it was top one or whatever, a top defense.
Yeah.
He comes out, first down stuff the run, second down stuff the run, third down cover the tight end. You can play CPU teams. That's why the defense has got the stats it does. Stuff the run on first, stuff the run on second, cover the tight end on third. It's literally like playing the Eagles. It's like playing most teams this many years in,
Yeah.
because nobody re-signs receivers. Denver, your defense is a criminal lack of pass rush, and I'm laying it at your door explicitly, James, because you literally sent Chris Jones and Von Miller, among others, out of the building. You literally released or traded all of your premium defensive line talent, and now cannot Chris Jones and Von Miller.
Oh yeah. I was being facetious.
Oh, I should have got that. I'm really facetious.
I know that he did.
I think Malik Jackson's gone as well. They just let all of the premium pass rushing talent
Yes. Anybody
walk out of the building.
hands up if you've got a quarterback, right? You can fuck off. Okay.
Because I'm telling you now, everybody that played Nick last year blasted Nick by 40 points. This year, Nick has held John to a 14-14 game. And you know what the score was against James Cameron?
No.
26-21. He will not get the car. Daniel's already pointed out the car's a good quarterback with a low ceiling. If you're not going to touch him all game, Nick is going to throw the ball on you. James has you gotta come up with a pass rush. I truly believe if you don't address it schematically, John is gonna have a fucking field day with Deshaun Watson come the title game, because you can't get them. I don't think you can get the car. You're not gonna get the Watson. Arizona's defensive weakness, they are two, as in T-double-O, reliant on Chandler Jones on third downs. I think if Jones didn't play, you wouldn't get a sack all season. Daniel, you also have criticisms about user and Chandler Jones.
Yeah, it feels like a third down safety valve that's not working.
Yeah, he always plays as Chandler Jones on third downs, which is logical, except it's not working, so don't do it.
Third down coverage is what's going to get him into the playoffs. Good third down coverage. And it might be the only way to get him back into the playoffs at this point.
Yes, I do need to give a shout out to that. Is that the rookie Stoops? Thibodeau? No, calling you out. Saying that Chandler Jones hasn't been used once this season. Tyler's just got a face on him like...
Just looking at the standings, mate. So. Next, what are we on now, Shay?
Nope. We're on my laptop being a bit shit. I also think that the Cardinals also have weakness of an inability to stop running QBs. Shows that they just don't have the talent in the front seven. Stoops has said Thibodeau's coming on quite well. He is. I think he's poised to have a breakout season next year where he'll be amazing. I like Tanner Vallejo a lot as well.
Yeah.
He's made Team of the Week a couple of times. But outside of like 2 or 3 guys, you play with a front 7. Sometimes Stoops plays with a front 8. There's just not enough talent there. It's not a huge criticism of Stoops as a GM because he's been addressing other areas. And generally, when they lost Danny Shelton last year, but Stoops acquired him when he first came in. Stoops generally, when he goes to fix up an area of a team, hits the nail on the head. Stoops released Patrick Peterson, which we were all totally behind. Nick was toying with the idea of signing him off free agency, and I believe he has gone through with it. So that'll be interesting to see Patrick Peterson play the Cardinals later in the year. Even if he plays well, Stoops still made totally the right call getting rid of him.
Yeah.
The corners at the minute, Byron Murphy Jr.'s outstanding as a one. Number two, he got Asante Samuel Jr. in the draft. Like I say, when Stoops wants to fix a position, he can do it like that. I'm looking at this thinking I said it'd be done by 1 o'clock, but there's just so much to do in this one team. Dallas's defensive weaknesses. Unimaginative play calling. Literally just called cover 2 zone through the first 4 weeks of the season. Pedestrian tendencies derived from repeated success against the CPU, same as Niall. Stuff the run in first down, stuff the run in second down because they run it twice because obviously running backs are class and Madden. And then when you're 3rd and 13, watch them sail the ball inert. The get out of jail free for Dallas is the cap situation. They're losing talent. They lost Leighton Van Der Esch to free agency and didn't even put up a fight to sign him because the cap situation's so bad.
Yeah.
It's not on him.
As somebody who's had a good look at it firsthand, it is really, really bad.
So maybe a year from now, it's a little bit better. I definitely
I do feel bad for it. It's
I feel like Dallas' secondary is better than it has been.
very, very poor.
But Jalen Smith
Very, very, very poor.
cannot do everything. Giants' weaknesses are few and far between. Zonal blitz takes time to get right. I also worry
The Giants are another one. They're doing their best and it's looking
Zach
good.
has a lack of talent at corner. I don't remember the last time I've seen the Giants and cover one man, and you need to go cover one man to win in the postseason. There are periods of a game where you need to lock somebody up, and I just don't feel like the Giants have much in the way of talent as the perimeter corners compared to the other teams around them.
It's definitely, it's again not a problem position as such because it hasn't really impacted them, but it would definitely diversify their defensive playbook.
It's going to make it difficult for him to go to the next level.
If he can rely on his corners as well as what he currently has, it would definitely help him take a step.
Compare Zach's perimeter corners to Adams or Niles.
Yeah.
You would take Adams or Niles, and it might come down to that.
Yeah. Again, it's just about winning all over the field.
Oakland defense, 0 pass rush. Outside of Cleveland Farrell or Max Crosby getting 1 sack a month, there's nothing there. They're one of the best run stuff in France, which is why I really do like Oakland's chances against Denver. But they can't rush a passer.
I think what would really help them is a defensive tackle.
They got Maurice Hurst.
Yeah. Again, it's all 80
Oakland,
overall, guys.
Yeah, Oakland's full of 7 out of 10 guys.
Yeah. If you put a star DT in there, like a Chris Jones or an Aaron Donald, even a Rashawn Gary, something like that. It's really
Rashawn Gary's balling out for Dallas.
He is. You're welcome. It's going to start to eat up space in the middle, and it's those again. It's about buying plays. You need a big stop on 3rd down. You need to go and get that stuff.
Yes, Zach has named Eli Apple and DeAndre Baker. I know their names. I just don't think they're particularly elite perimeter corners.
Again, they're 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, they're not bad. They're not weaknesses, but
could it get them to the next level?
Are they as good as? Here now, guys, Trayvon Mullen and does he still have Mike Davis? I don't think he still has Mike Davis, but I know Marshawn Lattimore is better than any of them. I mean, they are. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, they are decent. They're not bad. Like I said, they're not even a weakness. Hill, Booth. But Booth's questionable. If you leave Booth alone, maybe Booth can cover. Maybe. Perhaps. I mean, even then, when you play as him, he's good. He just allows 7 points in the first quarter every week. It's not the worst thing. It isn't a one-score game, I guess. Oakland, they have the least experience in user covering linebackers. I feel like he's going to get to the postseason and look like James Earl's not be able to cover anybody. James is really good at it now, but Nick has to go through that crucible. Yeah.
If Nick goes 1 and done in the playoffs after a pretty shite season last year, I don't think he's going to be too upset about it.
He was 3 and 13. He has 9 wins.
Well, there you are.
Houston defensive weaknesses, basically none. It'd be really difficult if you put a gun to my head and was like, you need to win this game of Madden. Who do you want to call your defense for you? Daniel or John? It's close.
I think you'd have me call it and John play it.
Yeah, John's overuse of the free safety can be exploited
on counters, etc.
But 2 of the 3 people, 2 of the 3 people that would counter that have left the league. So I don't think it's a huge weakness.
John's probably the best defense that we've had.
It's out. You literally said it earlier on. Jordan Boyer as a user can cover your slot and the other slot and your tight end and stuff the run. Yeah, he can do everything.
He's ridiculous.
So, power rankings time.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of movers and shakers this week. No new teams, which is good. Finally starting to feel like I get a beat in the top 10. Uh, so, number 2. Oh, John. Like I say, I don't make shit up, positive or negative. It's all there. If you go and look for it, it's right in front of you. You're doing really well. Number 10 is the 8-4 Steelers. Number 9 is the 9-3 Cowboys. Number 8 is the 8-4 Rams. 7 is the 10-2 Bucks. 6 is the 9-3 Bears. 5 is the 9-3 Raiders. 4 is the 11-1 Broncos. Denver's really close to falling out of the top 4. I cannot advocate putting Oakland above them. Right now, Oakland and Chicago can't buy a player win between them, but I feel like Oakland's the closest one to it. And if they beat Denver, I'll push Oakland up into the top 4. 3 is the 11-1 Saints. 2 is the 12-0 Giants, and 1 is the 10-1 Houston Texans. The Texans were meh. They were bad. They were average, below average in a lot of ways against the Bills. But my heart is overruling my eyes at the minute. I can see that the Texans are probably should be like 4th on this list, but if I put anybody else against them, you're getting fucking smoked. The guy literally kept the Bills at arm's length. He put a comment in and he tagged me on it because he knows it's the sort of thing that seriously upsets me. He turned the ball over 3 times and they were they were 10-7 up for like 90% of the game. They were never going to win that game. He was never in any jeopardy at all. And you can say about he rolled out left and through the deep post. Even he won by 10 for fuck's sakes. He won by the same amount of points as teams win PvP games. I think it's a big deal. So he was never going to lose that game.
Yeah.
At all. And he trailed for the whole game. Because CPU offenses are largely trash. But I can't justify moving him down until somebody fucking socks him. Like, the best shot, even if he beats Zach at this stage though, if Zach outplays him, because it's a player game, I will move Zach back to the top.
I think if John wins this week,
Defense wins championships. Zach is the best O. John is the best D. It's potentially, Adam's going to wake up tomorrow and hate me for this, it's potentially the most salivating bowl now. And I know there's a storyline. We love storylines between John and Adam. It's the forbidden fruit. But right now, I will feel like I've been shortchanged my fucking league subscription fee if I don't get Texans Giants in the bowl.
No, I'm still on the Texans Saints bandwagon.
But this could be the hottest. I'm not saying the Giants are going to flame out after a year. Far from it. I think they're here to stay. But this could be the hottest the Giants are ever going to be. I can't say hand on heart the Giants are ever going to go 12-0 again. This is the hottest they're going to be.
Yeah.
By the way, looking at schedules for next year, we're definitely going to get another James Cameron, John meeting in the regular season.
We're also going to get
Niall and Zach and Adam are going to have that triple threat. They're actually all going to play each other in the regular season next year as divisional winners. I don't know who gets which division. I'll need to work that out. In terms of clinching scenarios, I think I posted those in the group earlier. The Raiders can clinch playoffs with a win. The Cardinals can be eliminated from wildcard if they lose and the Bucks win. Their only hope is to get in as the West winners, which is slightly concerning.
Gotta win that Rams game.
Yeah, the Giants.
No way around it at this point.
The Giants can win the East if they beat Detroit. A pretty manageable fixture, all things considered. And the Giants and Saints can both clinch byes this week if they both win and the Packers beat the Bears. That'll seal the byes. Still, only the AFC South is the only division that's been locked up. Houston, for the first time, have won it back-to-back years. It's just Tennessee haven't won that division now. Thoughts on the postseason?
Excited. Very excited. Looking forward to seeing, hopefully, the title games that we want of Adam, Zach, and John James.
I mean, the biggest things I'm looking for, I think a lot of people are looking forward to in the postseason. Um, Zach making his debut with a bye. Nick making his debut. James Cameron going back with a point to prove. Niall trying to get back to the bowl.
Yeah. It's always nice to see the team that's made the bowl the year before not have as much of a hangover.
Oh, I wouldn't say there's been a hangover at all. He's the same team as he was
No,
last year.
I don't mean that he's had a hangover, but I mean in general.
Yeah. I think the person with it's really weird. The person with the most to prove or the most to fight for this year might actually be Adam, because he was socked in the gob last year by Niall, who took his Super Bowl berth away from him, and now he's back. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna stomp on Niall. I'm gonna be the top seed. Now Zach has marched in and took the 1 seed off him. Now Zach's not guaranteed the 1 seed. There's still a couple of games to play, but we've crunched the numbers and looked at all the tiebreakers, and it's pretty much guaranteed as long as he doesn't even need to win out. Even if he drops the John game, he's getting the 1 seed. But all of a sudden, Adam very quickly has found himself losing home field through the playoffs and not winning a title game. So Adam might actually have the most to prove of anybody in the postseason. I think the least to prove is Nick. Like you said, he might be the only team that can go 0-1 and still be like, yippee, motherfuckers!
Yeah.
Three
And in
wins
the
last.
postseason,
Yep.
blow me.
3 wins last year. 3 wins to the 5 seed is some turnaround. Might actually be bigger than any turnaround I've seen in CFM history. Think about it.
Yeah. John wants to know, is Adam Gormley's grasp on the NFC fading? I guess we will find out.
Well, that depends on your definition of the word grasp. Because when he had a grasp, he was really the only team in the NFC.
Yeah, I think he still has a grasp on the NFC, but before he had a foot in the throat.
Yes, I also think he still has the grasp of the
He
NFC.
just does, he maybe just doesn't have total, unquestionable domination. Like,
Yeah, I mean, before, what was it? He had to face the Cowboys, who he would have battered, the Bears, who he always batters, and the John team. He didn't have to play the Packers.
yeah.
He lost to the Seahawks, to be fair, but like no one was questioning his authority. He, I don't know. He's always been seen as the god of the NFC, and there's obviously plenty of reason for that. I don't know. If he goes in as the 2 seed and wins the NFC title game, he's still got a grasp on it.
Yeah.
Look at the 2 seeds through the years. 2 seeds,
I think if he makes the bowl,
with the exception of
if he
James
beats
Earls,
Zach
2 seeds are
convincingly-
always good.
If he can beat Zach convincingly in the NFC title game this year, I think everybody's question will be
You don't need to say that.
answered.
If he beats Zach by a point in the NFC title game, he'd be happy enough with that.
No, but he'd still be worried about Zach next year. But if he can convincingly beat Zach in the title game, I think he'd be a lot more comfortable.
I can't get behind that, because if he convincingly beats Zach, I'm not totally unconvinced that Zach doesn't come back and just flip it next year again. Zach's 12-0, but if you told me next year Zach finished 11-5, tweaked a lot of offensive things, brought some new personnel in, I mean, I think we should all be thrilled for Zach being 12-0, because I feel like he's still evolving and hasn't reached the peak of his
Yeah,
powers
I'm
yet.
very happy for Zach. As I'm sure we all are.
He and James Cameron are having the exact same season,
Yeah, but we like Zach.
because they're both going to be the 1 seed. They're both going to be undefeated, bar that one loss against John.
Mm.
And is a loss against John really a loss? Like, don't be beating
It is
yourself
if
up.
it's in the bowl. Don't matter who you lose to then.
Don't be beating yourself up about any loss to John. Like I say, with the wee asterisks, I said earlier, provided you score a touchdown against them. Trying to think if there's anything else worthy of discussion at this stage. I think it's stunning that the entire NFC has managed to eliminate itself, bar the Packers and the Cardinals. They're the 2 teams that are hanging on. And the Cardinals are really, really fucking hanging on.
If by hanging on you mean aren't mathematically eliminated, they're 4 games back on the wildcard teams.
If they lose to...
It's over.
No, it's not, because they can still win the West. Minnesota's only out because they can't win the West.
Oh, Christ. How many games are they behind the Rams?
They gotta keep... If they beat the Eagles, they're 1 game behind them. They're both 3-1. The Rams have head to head, but they meet in week 17. I would say
The
Stoops,
worst thing for Stoops is it to be over by week 17.
Stoops is set up for a grandstand finish, but he's probably going to lose in the next 2 weeks once, and then that'll be him toast. He can't lose another game.
Nah, come on, man. Let's go and fucking win the West.
He's got a ball ache of a schedule. He's got the Eagles, who are tricky.
They are.
He's got the Seahawks, who pushed at him all the way in week 1.
Yeah.
He's got Nick, and then he's got the Rams, who are tough, and he has to win out basically. Because even if the Rams lose out, and this is how bad this is, if the Rams lose out, they'll go 8-8. Stoops will still need to win 3 of his last 4 if the Rams were to lose out.
Not really, because the Rams would then be 3-3 in the division.
But he would need to make sure one of those wins was against the Rams.
Yeah, well, if the Rams are losing out, obviously it would be.
No, I know, but you can say the Rams losing out, but losing out doesn't necessarily mean losing to Stoops.
Fuck, I don't know. Stoops can go to the postseason if he focuses up. If he really wants it, I think he'll get it.
I think Zach will be raging if he doesn't go, because Zach was the one who said it's possible all player teams could make the postseason. And I'm like, we have some absolute wank teams in this league. But plenty of them are in simple enough divisions.
Yeah.
That's always been the way. You could just get to the postseason that way and then get slapped about. But I just wanted to talk to you about that while you're on. I think it's the last thing I'm going to wrap with. I think there's just... We got to do the Blazing 5. We'll do it in a little second, but there's a real lack of quality in defenses in the league.
Yeah.
And it's because of the quality of CPU offenses. That's not an excuse. You should be better at D all round.
But nobody feels challenged.
No, because I've said it for a couple of teams now. Stop the running first, stop the running second. Big massive super sack if you've got a 90 skill D end, and if you don't, just wait for them to miss hurts. And you get the ball back.
Yeah.
And then you can be as ineffective on offense as you want. Shout out to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like I've said in the chat earlier, no one's taking them seriously as a postseason threat.
They're probably going to finish in 11 plus wins.
They're 10-3 for fuck's sakes. They're the third best team standings wise in the NFC. And they would win that division if Adam wasn't in it. By a landslide if Adam wasn't in it.
Yeah.
So, Blazing 5. You can't call the Cowboys game. You lost your chance to call it because it's been played. Saints, Panthers. I've gone Saints by 11.
Saints by 14.
Bears, Packers. The Not Vegas line is Bears by 4, but I'm going Packers.
Bears by 10.
Bears by
10.
Bears by 10.
Yeah.
The game's at Lambeau Field, and if the Packers win, they're in charge.
Lambeau less than a field, aye.
If the Packers win, that's
Sure,
their top.
was it not at Lambeau Field when fucking 43-year-old rolled in and rode them?
If the Packers win that game, they will go top of the NFC North.
Aye. Well, when the Bears win it, they won't. So.
Then Arizona at Philadelphia. The Not Vegas line is Eagles by 4, and I've also picked the Eagles.
Stips. By 3. Don't fuck me here.
I went Cowboys by 5, and they won by 15, so I don't get that. Then Denver at Oakland. The Not Vegas line is Raiders by 1, and I'm going Raiders. They have enough about them to stop the run. Denver will get in a big hole early, and you think, don't be thinking this. Stoops failed to beat James Cameron because he literally has a hole in his head that all of the decision making gets sucked out of.
Nick will 17-3.
Nick will not blow a 14-point lead in the fourth. The question is, can Nick get a 14-point lead? The answer is yes.
I hope so. I don't know.
It's tight.
It depends which Denver turns up.
It's surprising me that this is taking you so long, but you called the Cardinals pretty quick.
I knew
Cardinals
we were
on the
so I
road.
just fucking went for it.
Cardinals on the road in Philly. Dial can't bring himself to pick the Eagles.
No, I fucking hate the Eagles. Absolute scum club. Denver by 3.
Right, guys, you heard it here first. My guys in Oakland and Philadelphia, give me the wins.
Fucking blow me, Philly. I hate you all. Apart from the wee guy Giovanni that does the podcast. That guy's a wee fucking hero. Follow him on Twitter. I think I said that before, but yeah.
I think you did, yeah.
He's a wee legend. Follow. Massive Eagles fan.
Right, so remaining games this week. Saints Panthers is tomorrow morning. Bears Packers is tomorrow at some point. The PvP is likely the weekend, Saturday. Arizona Philadelphia
Might be in a minute.
might be happening right now. Who the fuck even knows?
Stoops, I know.
Giants at Lions. Zach's moving at the minute, so
Yeah, probably be the weekend or just
relocating
after.
from New Jersey to actually New York.
Zach. If Zach needs a wee bit more time this week,
Yeah,
we
totally
can
okay.
that. Because we flew through last week as well. So, was moving house and rent. It's a lot.
You want to talk a little bit about the draft before we go?
Not
have
this week.
I have one thing to say about the top 10 of the draft. James Cameron picks at 4. The other positions are all CPU teams, and since CPU defenses are gash and CPU offenses are also gash, it doesn't really matter who they draft, it will not flip their teams.
Yeah, look at Spencer Rattler.
Spencer Rattler,
Was shit.
I mean, he played Nile to a 7-point game and only lost the Nile because of the Minneapolis Miracle, and then literally couldn't fucking move the ball an inch against James Earls. And we've already went into depths as to how fucking atrocious the Dallas D is. Okay, so Cardinals Eagles is tomorrow or Saturday. We are gonna fly through the next couple of weeks, you would imagine, because after this we got the it's week 14 we've talked about at length.
Yeah.
Week 15, the headline is Zach John, and everybody else is CPU, which is good because there's
Week 16, there's 4-player games.
no, there's 2-player
Oh, well,
games.
you know
Yeah.
what I mean.
The week 16 decider that could end at this
Season.
stage could end Stoops or next season. At this stage,
Nick would have to have a bit of a pants collapse.
yeah, a little bit. Have to lose the Niners certainly.
No. Even then, Nick can 10-6 gets him in the AFC. Papa stands up. The best they can do. 10-6 probably gets him in. Plus, what would his divisional record be?
Probably 4-2.
Yeah, he's getting. He
He
needs.
should be safe. And the other game there would be James Earls versus John, which I cannot wait for because I have said that John's going to play a reduced playbook, but in the back of John's mind, he's always remember that time that James Earls and Niall and Daniel and Ian got together and it was a big conspiracy and you cheated me out of my game as the Falcons.
We all get KFC at Niles.
We all get KFC at Niles and James Earls was there and he played his game against John, and John thinks, and you can ask Niall or Gerald, we were all there. We were trying to calm Gerald's down, being like, yo, don't run a play here, breathe.
We should have got him an inhaler.
Yeah, he needed an inhaler for it, but John thinks that Daniel was like, pick this play, throw to him, the whole way through. And while that would make sense because James Earls has won one player game in the 10 years since that's it, that was not the case. James literally called and played that game himself.
Yeah, John was just dick. Just admit it to yourself, mate.
Yeah.
Nobody called my fucking game against you.
Except the referee.
Speaking of my games, I'll be playing Adam this week. On our whatever, I don't even know the name for my podcast, but I'll be playing Adam on my podcast.
Should be
And
good.
we'll be discussing. We have 2 good topics. I'm not actually gonna tell you them. We'll discuss some topics.
The topics are going to be banging.
They are very good. But yeah, so thank you guys for coming on tonight. I think that's us, isn't it?
Yeah, I got nothing really to add, except Devin Funches is an absolute weapon and will probably be wide receiver 3 and team of the year
Superstar.
with a pair of Texans.
But yeah, guys, thanks for listening and take it easy.
Been an absolute blast.